Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is so exciting because it is a get to know me tag where I compiled a list of questions, one from the internet and two from my noggin. So without further ado, let's get started. Question number one, where were you born and where do you live now? So I was born and raised in Houston, Texas, and I currently live in Pflugerville, Texas, which is a very small city. Well, it's like 50,000 people, but it's on the very top of Austin. And I really love it because I get the best of both worlds of being a city girl while also being a country girl. I'm very close to downtown Austin, but at the same time, my neighbors are dairy cows and cornfields. The dairy cows are cute. The cornfields remind me of murderous children wanting to attack me from those cornfields, or like spirits talking to me. But you know what? I'm gonna roll with it. I'm gonna live here. I love Pflugerville. Question two, did you go to university and what degree do you have? So yes, I moved to Austin, Texas to go to the University of Texas at Austin, where I majored in public relations. I had an amazing time in college. I made lifelong friendships. I learned a lot of life lessons. And to be honest, my major really prepped me for the real world. Although I'm not in public relations as we speak, I really learned a lot about communicating with people, writing, and just kind of the emotional aspect of dealing with people in a business setting. Three, do you love to read? If so, what are you currently reading, or what is your favorite series? So, yes, I love to read. I am a book nerd. In fact, I did make an Instagram at one point in time specifically talking about books that I made. So yes, I'm a hardcore reader. Now, currently I am reading The Secret History, a novel by Donna Tartt. I am almost halfway through this book. It is a very long read, and I am the type of person, like, I do read fast, but I like to take my time and really digest what is happening. Now, I do want to say what is on the cover of this, just to give you a little insight or interest if you are another book nerd like me. So it goes, under the influence of their charismatic classic professor, a group of clever, eccentric misfits at an elite New England college discover a way of thinking and living that is a world away from the humdrum existence of their contemporaries. But when they go beyond the boundaries of normal morality, they slip gradually from obsession to corruption and betrayal, and at last, inexorably into evil. Now, all that to say, it basically follows a young male in college who befriends these people from a Greek class, and they kill one of their counterparts at the very beginning of the book. And the whole book just leads up to this murder. Very fascinating. Highly recommend to read, and I just hit my face with this. Now, as for a series, I am going to answer this question because I do have a series that is very near and dear to my heart besides Harry Potter. And the reason why I love this series is because it meets my fantasy, I don't know what you would call it. I just really love fantasy. I love fiction. I do love sci-fi, and it literally merges the two. And a little tidbit or a little background as to how I found out about this series was when I was a freshman in college. It was actually the summer after my freshman year. Me and my oldest sister, we were in Houston, and for some weird reason, she wanted to go to a public library, so I just kind of tagged along. We didn't have a library card, and I wasn't planning on getting one, but I got one specifically because I wanted to check out book number 1 in this trilogy. And I just remember, when I went to this library, I had a couple of things in mind. One, I wanted a very challenging book, whether it was the way it was written or how many pages or thick the book was. And two, it needed to be mostly fantasy and or sci-fi. I didn't realize I signed up for both. And when I went to the young adult section, I literally was grazing the spinal cords, the spines of the books. And I was honestly trying to find a spine, that just sounds so weird when I say it, but I was trying to find just beautiful covers. I know, like, you don't judge a book by its cover, but at this time I was just really interested in just seeing things that I've never seen before. So without further ado, the series that I really love is the All Souls trilogy by Deborah Harkness. I mean, I have the books right here. I love them. There is another one that's kind of a spin-off of one of the characters in these books, but I love it. Specifically, here's the first book. It's called A Discovery of Witches. And I don't think you can see the spine, but it is the Bodleian Library at Oxford University. And so that caught my interest. It was a thick book at the time for me, and then on the cover of the book, I want to say it's just alchemical processes, because this book deals with alchemy. And I'm going to talk about what this book is about from the summary on the back, if y'all are interested. So it says, deep in the heart of Oxford's Bodleian Library, Diana Bishop, a young scholar and the descendant of witches, unearths an enchanted alchemical manuscript. Wanting nothing to do with sorcery, she banishes the book to the stacks. But her discovery has set a fantastical underworld stirring, and soon a horde of demons, witches, and other creatures descends upon the library. Among them is the enigmatic Matthew Claremont, a vampire with a keen interest in the book. Equal parts history and magic, romance and suspense, A Discovery of Witches is a mesmerizing and addictive tale of passion and obsession that reveals the closely guarded secrets of an enchanted world. Now that literally reeled me in when I was a freshman in college. This was everything I had ever wanted. And I went home, I immediately started reading it, and I did not put it down unless I had to eat and or use the bathroom. And I mean, like, I can go on and on about these, but all I just want to say is that if you really love kind of a forbidden romance, if you love science, if you love books that actually have real history in them, kind of embedded in a fictional story, this is your series. And I know some of you are you know what this series is because it is a British TV show that came out sometime between 2018 and 2019. It's still airing, and yes, I did watch season 1, but I haven't watched anything else because I'm waiting for when the day comes where they end the series and I can binge watch it. I cannot wait. Question 4, what is your favorite homemade dish? And that's easy, it's green chili stew. It's a family recipe that my grandmother passed along to my mom, and she got the inspiration from a green chili stew at a local restaurant in Houston called Poncho's. I don't know if they're still around or in existence. I mean, due to COVID, I'm pretty sure they're not. But it's just a very comforting dish for me. It has potatoes, tomatoes, onions. It can have bell pepper. It has jalapeno. Sometimes I put serrano. It's just very comforting, kind of Mexican style food. Question 5, do you believe in aliens, ghosts, or conspiracy theories? Now, I sure do. I do believe that there is some type of probably alien existence. Whether or not they're here on Earth, who knows? I do believe in ghosts. I don't know if I necessarily believe like things that go bump in the night, but I do believe that like spirits are here or like ghosts are here, and you know, I just kind of find that stuff fascinating. So I do watch documentaries. When I was younger, I binge watched Ancient Aliens. Sometimes I still do. It's just fun because, I mean, what is his name? Giorgio? I mean, who can't love him? His hair is freaking crazy. I'm pretty sure he hairsprays it to look exactly as how it looks now. But there is like a kind of like a funny story with how when I was growing up, I was 5, and my oldest sister, for some reason we got on the topic of kind of conspiracy theories. Specifically, I had asked her about how the Great Pyramids were built. You know, I was 5 years old, I had just found out about them, and I just couldn't understand how somebody who was, you know, just a normal human just carry all this ton of weight. And again, I was 5, and she flat out said, "You didn't know that dinosaurs were around in Egypt? Yeah, the Egyptians had dinosaurs as pets, and they were the ones who carried the heavy stone and created the pyramids." And I honestly believed that story for about a year to a year and a half, obviously, until I learned that dinosaurs lived a very, very fucking long time ago. But to my 5-year-old self, that seemed very logical. Number 6, what is your favorite movie genre? So I have to admit, I have 2 favorite movie genres. One of them is drama. That's typically what I mostly go for, whether it's romance drama or sci-fi drama, fantasy drama. That's my go-to. But it does switch to horror. And fun fact, when I was younger, I wasn't really scared of any type of movie, but when I met Alex, which I'm pretty sure he's watched every horror, thriller, suspense movie on this planet, I really started getting into horror films. In fact, if we have a movie night, it's going to be, what? You guessed it, a horror film or a paranormal film. I actually watched Paranormal Activity, the first movie, yesterday, and I still love it. And my favorite movie of all time in the horror genre is The Conjuring. Yes, part 1. I mean, I like the second movie, but not as much as the first one. That one I can honestly watch by myself and it would make me happy. 7, who is your favorite singer and what is your favorite song? Hands down, if you know me, you know that my favorite singer is Banks. And if I were to describe her style, she is alternative indie meets alternative R&B. And I'm so thankful that the gods led me to see her in the Austin City Limits Music Festival 2019. I was so close to her. I nearly fainted. I'm not going to lie. I love her. I found her my freshman year in college when I was traveling back home for, I think, the holidays, and I just could not stop listening to her. In fact, I still listen to her. Favorite workout music is by Banks. Favorite focus music by Banks. If I'm doing pretty much anything, cleaning or otherwise, I'm most likely listening to Banks. In fact, Spotify told me in 2019, when it wrapped up my music before 2020, it was all Banks. I'm not gonna lie, it pretty much wasn't interesting, probably to anyone else, because it all had Banks, Banks, Banks. Which leads me to my favorite song. Obviously, it's by who? You guessed it, Banks. And it's Gemini Feed. Please, please, please look her up if you haven't, or you don't know who she is, or you like alternative indie, alternative R&B. Gemini Feed is one of my favorite ones, and she does have a music video to it where she is kind of like a snake. It's pretty cool. Question number 8. Do you love podcasts, and what are your favorite podcasts to listen to? Yes, I am a podcast junkie. I used to be a really crazy true crime podcast junkie, to the point where I think it got a little embarrassing, because I would listen to it all the time at home, and I would literally be making food just listening to like the most gruesome true crime podcasts, and like Alex would come in and he's just like, what are you listening to? Like, how are you so calm and focused on like chopping up food, and you're just like da 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 da, and you're listening to like the most gruesome podcast ever? I don't know, I really had that phase. I kind of still do, but now I'm more in the, like I said, sci-fi and fantasy. That those are just my really go-to genres for when it comes to podcasts and books. Now, I do have a couple of podcasts to recommend to you. One is the Black Tapes, and the other is Tannis, and they're both by Pacific Northwest Stories. I do believe that they've finally concluded both of the series. They did take a hiatus for like several months, and I know they updated recently, but I just haven't gone to listen to them just yet. But basically I found them in college, and they're both in the realm of paranormal and sci-fi. So if you're really interested in getting to know those podcasts, I'll link all the links below, by the way, so they'll be down below. Question number 9, what is your favorite dessert? That is very easy. It is chocolate, specifically milk chocolate. Question number 10, are you an introvert or are you an extrovert at heart? I am definitely an introvert. And I know it may seem weird because I'm talking to a camera in front of potentially what could be a huge audience, but yeah, deep down inside, I am a very, 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 very quiet introvert. Question number 11, woo, my favorite. What are you currently binge watching, and what are your favorite all-time binge watching shows? Now, currently, I'm actually not really binge watching anything new, but I am re-watching the whole Pretty Little Liars series. I know some of y'all don't like it. It is one of those shows that you like it or you hate it. And I grew up, I loved it. I mean, I was the same age as the characters, and when they grew up, I was kind of the same age as the characters, because, you know, they had that weird Well, I'm not going to say anything further, but I am currently watching that. Now, my favorite of all time has to be The Vampire Diaries. Oh my god, that show got me through college. I'm not going to lie. I binged watched majority of it my freshman year because I did not learn about it until my freshman year from my roommate Devin. Hi Devin, shout out if you're watching this. But yeah, The Vampire Diaries all time. And then I want to say kind of like the next best series is actually a French show. Apologies if I butcher this, but it's called Les Revenants. And in English, it just means the return, and it's about several people who died in various points in time, and they come back, and it's just, you know, it just kind of follows each character's path, and, you know, like one of them was married, but he committed suicide. Another one was about a little boy who died almost like 40 years back. Another one was a twin sister. It is kind of sad, but it is one of those where you're like, what the, you know, like what happened? Why are they coming back? You know, what's going on? Like, what is their purpose? So if you're very interested in that, I highly recommend it. There is a American version, which is called The Return, but I haven't watched it. Question number 12. Are you a morning person or are you an afternoon person? I'm definitely not a morning person, and I guess I'm an afternoon person. I mean, okay, if we're being realistic, my ideal time to be the most productive would be about like 10 a.m. to like 6:30 p.m. So I guess it's kind of the morning, but it's mostly the afternoon and a little bit of the evening. But I'm definitely not a night person, and I cannot wake up early in the morning to save my life. That just makes me literally nauseous. Question number 13. What year were you born? I was born in the year 1995. Question number 14. What is a pet peeve of yours? Now, I don't really have too many pet peeves, but if I were to say one, it would have to be smacking while eating. Question 15. Now, question 15 is kind of weird, but it's one of those where it's, do you or are you aware of when you're dreaming or in a dream-like state? And I kind of came up with this question because I thought it was very interesting and kind of my experience around it. And the answer is yes. More often than not, I find myself in a dream and I know that I'm dreaming. And there are a lot of times where I can manipulate my surroundings or manipulate how I want the dream to go. I can wake myself up, and I can also tell myself to go back to that same dream. I don't know why that is. It happens way more, I think, than the average person. And I don't know what causes it. I mean, there are literally times, like I think last week actually, I was in a dream and I really honestly liked the dream. And I told myself to wake up, to use the bathroom. I came back to bed and I literally was like, okay, I'm going back to this dream. And in my head, I just kind of started replaying the dream, and eventually I went back to sleep and I could tell that I was asleep and I went back to the dream. I don't know like if that's normal or if it's very rare, but it is something that I can strangely do. It's not all the time, but like I said, I think it's more often than a normal person. That concludes this get to know me tag. I really hope you kind of found some interesting tidbits about me. That way we are no longer strangers. Now, I will say, feel free to leave me kind of an interesting tidbit, fact about you below in the comments, because I would love to get to know people who are watching my videos. It's kind of strange if I guess didn't really know a little bit about you guys. But I really hope you found this fun. I really enjoyed doing this tag. I think this is going to upload before my vlog, but I am simultaneously vlogging. I mean, not right now because I don't have like another camera or tripod, but I am also vlogging today. So that will probably be up right, I think maybe like right after this episode. I don't know how I'm going to space it yet, and I don't know how I want my videos. I am thinking uploading every Thursday just because it just gives me a lot of time to edit, and I do have a full 8 to 5 time job. So I think Thursdays would be my best. So let me know down in the comments if Thursdays are much preferred for you guys, or if there is a different date in the week or day in the week that you would enjoy. Well, thank you so much for watching this video. It was really fun, and I'll see you next time.